Hi guys, today we're going to be doing some more painting. I hope you had fun last time. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your portraits if you'd be willing to share them with me. What we're going to do today is look at what we did last time, correct any mistakes that we can see now that we're coming back with fresh eyes. I'm going to be using this round hog head brush again with a darker skin tone just to go in and ground some of those features. So make sure the eyebrows are in the right place and go into this big patch of dark shadow shape to try and pick out some of the details in there. And then we will go in with some more paint and add some more details. A handy little tip is to leave a little bit of paint from your last sitting on your palette. So get your palette knife, scrape off the thin areas and put it into a blob so it doesn't dry out. That's if you're coming back to it quite quickly. And then you've got a reference for the colours you were using before, because the light's going to be changing. Like today, this morning, the sun's coming in through this window, so the darks are a little bit lighter than they were. I've noticed here that my forehead's too high. I wasn't seeing that yesterday. Remember stepping back. It's really important at this stage to make sure your eyes are on the same level. Now I'm going to take some smaller, flat, square-headed hog head brushes, just two at the moment, while I'm still kind of moving paint around my board. Later on I'm going to go to some softer synthetic brushes where I can do some blending, and they're a lot lighter to touch. They don't move the paint around so much and you can be a bit more delicate with them. But for now I'm going to go in with some warm tones in the shadows and some cooler half tones, and bring out some of the lights in the lighter side of the face. At this point I start mixing in some linseed oil, because now that there is oil paint down on the canvas, I don't want to be putting thinner paint on top of that, because it's not going to stick, it's just going to come off. You always want to put thicker paint on top of thin paint. So now instead of mixing my paint with solvent, I'm going to be mixing it with a little bit of solvent and a little bit of linseed oil, and eventually it'll just be pure paint. I found some warmer areas here in my cheeks. They're a little bit light. The values are a bit off. I think I need to just go a little darker. Keep squinting, by the way. Squinting just takes away the details and makes you see the bigger picture. When you think you've got the right value and the right colour, see where else you can find it in the face and just go around and blob some of that in. And what I'm doing now is working into the lighter part of my face. I've got two brushes, one with a sort of lightest lights. At this stage you don't want to put in any highlights or any very dark accents, because you want to put those in right at the end, because those are going to be what really makes it pop. and those are the marks which you don't want to alter. And these are still helping us to inform the shape of the face, and a lot of it will become underpainting. This is all just feeling your way around the face with paint. Make sure you pick out the warms and cools within the lighter part of the face. So just above my lip here, it's much cooler. So I'm going to add a little bit of black, maybe a little bit of blue, depending on how cool we want to go. And all of this is helping me get the mouth and the nose and all the features in the right place. And you'll find on the edges of things like the mouth here and above the eyebrows and in the hairline, you want to put in like a cool half tone, like a sort of greeny colour, because there's actually quite a lot of green in the face. And you can create this green with black and yellow ochre, or if you want to go more green, less natural, then blue and yellow ochre. Don't forget about reflected light. So underneath my lip here, I've got this lighter section which is reflecting from the floor or from inside. Lips are really hard because you can't draw in the lips, it just looks like they're stuck on. So you just want to pick out the shapes. So you want to catch the light, you want to think about where the light's coming from in terms of getting those lips right. So the light hits the bottom lip from above. So I'm just popping in that light shape here. And then on the right side of the bottom lip, it's darker because it's in shadow, but it's still lighter than the top lip because the top lip is facing down, so it's going to be a darker shadow. I'm using a smaller brush for this, obviously. I'm still using my hogshead brushes, but I'm about to move to the synthetic, softer brushes. Lips aren't exactly pink, don't forget about the yellow in the lips. It's not mixing red and blue to make purple and pink. There's black in there, there's yellow in there. So the top lip, you've got that reflected light. And then in the corners here, to pick out the corners of the mouth, you can just go in with a little blob. I'm at the point now where I want to be putting in a little bit more detail, especially around the eyes. I've switched onto a synthetic brush now. I've got my assistant here. And yeah, with the eyes, you're still not thinking too literally. It's at the last minute that you want to put in those, the whites and the colour of the eyes. Before you have to do any of that, you want to make sure that they're in the right place. So I'm just going to start by sort of sculpting around the edges. I lied a bit at the beginning when I said I only used square head brushes, but actually I do sometimes use, well, not sometimes, usually every time, a round head. This is a sable, well, it's a synthetic sable, but it's a soft round head brush, because you don't always want to have flat, square, geometric brush strokes. So I'm going to pop in just the edge of my ear here on this other side, and actually that's quite a soft shape. And sometimes you need that around the eyes as well, and the irises, because it's not square. What you want really is a variety of marks and a variety of brush strokes, and you can achieve that with different shaped brushes. I'm just going to go in with a smaller brush now to pick out some of the detail, like the corners of the mouth, and maybe some of that, pick out some outlines, the edges of the nose, some highlights. I'm just lining up just to check that the corners of my mouth are in the right place. So you can line them up with the eye. It's quite difficult in a mirror because you've got to you're using this as your reference, not the reflection. So the corner of my mouth lines up roughly with the edge of my iris. I'm just going to pop that in as a little highlight. Sorry, not a highlight. What am I talking about? A little accent, a little dark accent, either side of the mouth here. Make sure the nostrils are nice and dark. They're probably your darkest dark in your face. With your smaller brush you can just indicate, if you can see it, which I can, just the top eyelid. There's an area just under your iris between the dark of your eyelashes, which is just the edge of your eye, which is attracting light from above, so you just want to catch that, not too brightly. Just indicate the edge of the eye under here. Ultimately it's all about where the light is hitting the face. So you've got to always be thinking about where the light's coming from. My eyes are quite light, so I'm just going to go in with my small brush and pick up some of that lighter blue, and then I'll just leave the centre, and that can be my pupil. You can spend a lot of time getting all this perfect, but for this exercise it's just going to be as good as we can get it. Where the light's hitting my eyeball on this side is actually in the white. You can usually get reflected light coming off the floor under the chin, and that helps add a definition between the chin and the neck. Make sure you've got enough highlights on your mouth, the bottom lip especially. You can now start to just make sure you've got all the lightest lights in. I don't do a lot of blending, but I tend to keep each brush stroke nice and separate, but this was looking a bit messy down here, so I'm just going to... Okay, I'm just going to do a little bit more to my hair, just a bit, because I like how it is at the moment. It's nice and loose. I don't want to work on it too much more. I don't want to make it too much tighter, because I'm kind of liking it as it is. And then I'm going to put some background in. A good way to make blonde hair is black and yellow ochre, and then you can add a little bit of red in when it gets warmer. But it's not, you know, yellow and white as you'd think. There's a lot of black in there. So this plait here, there's nice warm bits under my here, to the side of my face. Add a bit more red in there. Just try and get a sense of this plait. So before I put in the background, I'm just going to make sure that there's no harsh transitions, especially between the hairline and the forehead and the eyebrows. So I'm just going to go in there with some cooler halftones, soften those up. You can make this kind of green, cool halftone using yellow ochre and black and white. You don't have to use blue. You can of course use blue if you want it to be more greeny, but it's a bit more natural to just use black. So I want to keep my background fairly thin, so I haven't got very thick paint. I'm using a softer brush now to give it a nice flat finish. And then you can also use it to carve out the edges of your head and just correct any mistakes you've made, like the thickness of the neck here is too wide, so I'm just going to carve in there with this brush. Okay, now I'm going to pop in the t-shirt. I'm just going to make this green with a bit of phthalo blue, some ultramarine blue and cadmium yellow, because I want it to be nice and bright, so I'm not going to put any yellow ochre in there. I'm just going to use this round synthetic brush to put the stripes in. Okay, I think I'm happy with where it's at. Obviously you can keep working on it. I'm going to leave it there because I'm kind of liking how it's quite sketchy and loose. But I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys get up to.